Alrighty, folks, welcome back to episode number 70 of A Session with JJ right here on the Voices on the Net Network. Thank you for tuning into the program. As always, it is much appreciated. We got the guest on the line. That's right, Mr. Carl Wise. We're going to get to him in just a second. But what I'd like all of you to do right now, if you'd be so kind, is please visit www.vonthenet.com. That's right, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the listeners, can find out more information pertaining to the Voices on the Net Network. All you have to do is go to the top of the site, click the About link, and on that webpage, you will get everything you need to know in thorough detail about the website. You can also check out, and probably the best features on the website, the podcasts. That's right, the podcasts. Of any of the episodes from any of the shows, available on demand for your convenience. Yes, that's right. You can also check out news and my blog, all at www.vonthenet.com. Alrighty, it is now time for me to present to all of you the creator of Songfacts.com. He's also a DJ at WHCN in Hartford, Connecticut, Mr. Carl Weiser. Hey, Carl, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me, JJ.
So it's a big pleasure, I'll tell you. I have been a fan of Songfacts.com for so long. I use it all the time. I mean, it's kind of, I know I'm hosting the show here, but I can't believe I'm talking to the owner of the service. It's pretty amazing, but it really is a true pleasure having you on, man.
Well, it was made for DJs, so it really is refreshing when people in the business tell me that they find it useful.
Absolutely, and I love music, everything about music, so anytime I can learn more about a specific song, which is actually going to be the main topic of the program, the misinterpretations of many of the songs that many people will misinterpret, obviously, but we're going to get into all of that. We have a great itinerary set up, but before we do so, how about we get a formal introduction from the man himself? So do you care to introduce yourself a bit, talk a bit about yourself, songfacts.com in general, et cetera, please?
Well, my name is Carl. I'm a Pisces. I enjoy falconry and spearfishing. No, well, I was a disc jockey in Hartford, and I used to run this show called Breakfast with the Beatles, and the Beatles songs would come at you fast and furious. A lot of them are like 2 or 3 minutes long, and I always wanted something to say about the songs. Like at the end of I Am the Walrus, that's a recording of King Lear that they brought into the studio, and you can hear them, stuff like that. And we had all these materials, great books and press materials and liner notes, but they were all over the place. So I started putting the information into this little Mac computer that I had, and I would be able to access the information instantly with this little database, which was cool. Yeah. And then a few years later, this thing called the Internet rolled around, and I was like, oh, maybe it'd be kind of cool to, get this online so other DJs could use it. We could do it in any studio, whatever we needed. So we were able to access it anywhere. We turned it into songfacts.com, and by some miracle these days, well over 1 million people a month come to the site to find out the stories behind the songs.
Jeez, 1 million a month. That is amazing. I mean, you deserve it because the service is great. I mean, the amount of content on the website is amazing. Totally immense content. I haven't seen as much content about a specific song anywhere else, I'm telling you. And there are, I'll tell you, that is the prominent website, songfacts.com, to get your information about song information. Believe me when I tell you that.
Well, it was really surprising, JJ, because at first, when you know what it's like being on that side of the microphone. Yeah. You say something and you have no idea how it goes over. It's not like you have a live audience, you're a band, and you know if your song is bombing or not. Right. When you're just saying the stuff, the listeners, you get some calls, and and I could tell people were responding to the song information. Like they were really interested when I would explain what the colitis and the warm smell of colitis in Hotel California was. People would call and say, that was really cool, or you'd get people telling me that, but you didn't really know. But then when we put this thing online, I kind of figured it was for maybe the 100 people that thought this stuff was cool. And then the next thing you know, like more and more people were going and finding this stuff out, but it turns out that there's a huge audience of people that just love learning more about the songs they're listening to.
Absolutely. It goes to the whole fact that people that listen to music there are millions of people that enjoy music. I mean, music is the way of life for so many people. They get through their days listening to music. Either they're having a downtime, they're either breaking up in a relationship, they've either suffered a death in the family or a close friend. These songs get them through these tough times. But the thing is, the actual meaning of that song has nothing to do with the occasion, so they're listening to it, but it's helping them because either the singer is very upbeat, it's got a nice melodic tone to it, or there are so many different aspects of a song which really make music, which makes music as brilliant as it is. But the interpretations really trick people. I mean, look at the song 867-5309 Jenny. How many people called that number when that song came out, do you think? Just to get an estimation.
Well, I talked to the guy who wrote that song.
Really?
Yeah, and you would think there's some great story about how there was a real phone number. It was his girl. And in fact, the Tommy Two-Tone people, the guy who wrote it was not in Tommy Two-Tone. It's a guy named Alex Call who was actually in a band called Clover, which was Elvis Costello's backup band for his first album. But anyway, Alex was telling me that he was just sitting there one day, and that number just came to him, popped into his head out of nowhere, and then he started writing it down, and his buddy said, "Yeah, Alex, that's a girl's phone number. It's on a bathroom wall." And he kind of made the story from that. But then the band came up with a story for the press because that didn't sound so good when you're doing like an interview. So they started talking about how there was this Jenny, and it's one of those things that the myth kind of outlives it sounds better than the real story, but it's a fun song.
Oh, it definitely is. I remember playing it all of the time back when I ran a classic rock station on the internet, Jersey's Classic Rock, and many of the listeners tuned in now remember that. And that's really where I got started with this whole thing. And now as I run the Voices on the Net network and I'm running shows with big guests, and it really is a dream come true for me. But I remember playing Jenny, 867-5309 Jenny. That was a very popular song on that station, and people would always joke about the fact that they just call every time they hear the song. They call 867-5309, and a random person may answer, or it may not even be a number in their location, or they ask for Jenny, and that actually was a fad, Carl, as I read somewhere, where people were dialing that number and asking for Jenny specifically.
Yeah, and it was all around the country. Every state and every area code would have another version of this number. And as years went on, it became a popular number to have because it was a number anybody could remember. So people started maneuvering to try to get that number for their business, because if you tell somebody, call my number 86753, they're going to know it. Right. It's going to be a great one if you're a car dealer or something.
No, absolutely. It's kind of like free advertisement right there. Somebody decided to make a song with a phone number in there. Hey, I want dibs on that number. Definitely, I'm gonna get the calls easily with that one. So it goes to think about the whole thing about it. So this is going to be the main thing on the show. I said the word thing, but the main spiel on the show, where we're going to talk about some of the most misinterpreted songs of all time. So what I figured we would do is you would go over two or three, and then I'll ask you a question. I've got a question sheet here. I'll ask you a few of them, and we'll go with that. I think that will work. So you want to start us off, Carl? Before we do that, I want to let everybody know that just tuned in. We are speaking with the owner, yes, the creator of SongFacts.com, Mr. Carl Weiser. Check out the website if you haven't already numerous times today. I'm sure you have. Songfacts.com, folks. But yeah, would you like to start us off, Carl, with the first one you got on your list over there for the most misinterpreted songs of all time?
That's going to be Short People by Randy Newman.
All right.
That we found a lot of people really believe is some kind of anti-dwarf song. But Randy Newman is really making a statement about bigotry, and it means the opposite of what many people think. It's just Randy Newman's crazy sense of humor, right, where the small-minded people are the ones he doesn't respect, not the literal short people.
Right, and then many people that would listen to that song would think the literal definition. They would think, just based on the title alone, forget the lyrical content, that they would think it's literally about short people. Yeah?
And that's Randy Newman's biggest hit. That was a number 2 hit song, I think, in 1977. And it kind of tells you why Randy Newman is not a hit singer at this point. What he does now is he just writes all the songs you hear in every movie, and he shows up on the Oscars every year.
Yeah.
But he's much more of a songwriter now than a performer.
Yeah, I believe it was off the album. I know it was 1977, Little Criminals, right? I believe it was Little Criminals, Randy Newman, Short People, right? I think.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I think it is. I think. But yeah, I'll tell you, the literal terminology from so many people when they're listening to music, they think, wow, I can't believe that is not the actual meaning of the song. I mean, I think about it. I think about all the times that's occurred to me, and I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, and for many, believe it or not, when I first heard the song Born in the USA, I thought, yeah, this is a patriotic anthem, which I'm totally wrong, but now I know what it's about. But yeah, you have any other ones on that list? I know you do.
Well, the Springsteen thing I thought was really interesting because that got pretty much everybody, and you can't blame them. And Springsteen, this is one of the few times you've had an artist, the reaction to the misinterpretation is interesting. And Springsteen really took a proactive approach to trying to get people to understand that this song was about a Vietnam veteran and it was not this pro-America song. So he renounced that album cover even, said that Annie Leibovitz shot of me wearing the jeans against the American flag, I wish I never did it. And if you see Bruce Springsteen perform that song these days, he'll do it stripped down acoustic, so there's just no way you can miss it. Now, another example of an artist getting the song misinterpreted is Sting, who wrote the song Every Breath You Take for the Police. Now, when Sting realized that people were interpreting this as a love song, when in fact it was really much more about a stalker, he was going through a horrible divorce and he was just pouring out all his negative emotions, he got a kick out of it. And he didn't bother telling anybody what it was about. He figured he'd let him do it himself, because it hit home for him because he was watching his TV one day and he saw Andy Gibb performing that song on a TV show to a girl as if it was a love song, and he figured, you know what, people are going to do what they want with this. I think it's hysterical, so we'll just leave it be.
Right. No, you would never think that the song is about some controlling character. You would never think of it based on the title. And if you listen to the lyrics, even people can get misled by that. Even if you listen to it, and that's a hit. I mean, a great song. I mean, Sting, a great friend of Springsteen. Seeing you just brought Springsteen up before. How many times has Sting performed with Bruce Springsteen? Immense amounts of times. So you go into, of course, that Every Breath You Take by the Police, the 1983 hit. I'll tell you, but definitely one of my favorite songs of all time. Definitely misinterpreted. Anyhow, I'm going to ask you a question right here, then we'll get back to the misinterpretations. But here's a question that I just want. I mean, you're not going to be able to put your finger on this question, but if you could guesstimate how many people misinterpret songs that they like or even love, for that matter, what would you say the number would be, or perhaps a percentage? I mean, out of everybody that listens to music, it's a large number.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really think about the songs they're listening to, so it will catch them off guard when you point out that the Whitney Houston song I Will Always Love You is really a breakup song and not a love song. I would say if you just took a random poll for something like that, at least well over 60% of people would not get that song means something other than I'm going to love you forever.
Yeah. How many people have played it at a wedding, too? You know, if you think about the people that played it at even a wedding or a school dance even, the DJs playing the song, you know, thinking, oh, this is a love song, when really it's not.
Yeah, the title can really throw you off. And what's funny is there's a song called Best of My Love by the Eagles, which is a similar kind of thing. It's a breakup song. It's you see it your way, I see it mine, we both see it slipping away. But then if you go to another song called Best of My Love that was released 2 years later, it's a disco song that really does mean I love you so much and I'm going to give you all I have. So the title can really throw you off, and a lot of people